You think process is boring. Well, I have 3 reasons that process is actually an unfair advantage. Hey there, I'm Jon LoDuca. I'm founder of Playbook Builder, and I talk about wisdom as a corporate asset, a real competitive advantage. In this video, I'm going to talk about 3 really solid reasons you want to tackle process, even if you think it's boring, in your business. Okay, so process. You've been hearing about process for years. You maybe never got around to it, or you did it and then thought you got burned or tricked because it didn't seem to have a big impact on your organization. But there are really great benefits to process. I'll run through those very quickly, and then we'll talk about the 3 reasons to do it. So the benefits are, they're all over the place, right? Onboarding and training new people, which can have an impact on your bottom line dramatically. It can also, what we call speed to utility with new hires. It's a custom, to pay your employees the full amount of their salaries. But for the first weeks, months, sometimes years, you're not getting 100% yield out of that employee. But when you want to shorten that amount of time, of course you would. You also run the risk of losing key people. It's not the same era it was in your dad's generation or grandfather's. People don't just keep a job forever. They're bouncing around. It went from 1 job in a lifetime about 100 years ago to 13 or more in 2026. So it's a completely different landscape, and you're going to be onboarding people a lot. Plus, you're going to be losing people a lot. And sometimes when they walk out the door, they've got 4, 5, 10, 20 years of know-how in their noggin. You'd be happier if they stole a laptop. They walk out the door with 20 years in their head, and it can take you a very long time to recover. So that's another good reason. Third reason, you want to be able to scale your business. You want to be able to acquire other businesses. You want to be able to franchise. You're not doing without process. You absolutely have to lock that stuff down, or the small amount of shit show is just going to expand into a massive amount of noise, chaos, and disruption. You have to deal with this monster while it's small, so you want to do it now. And of course, the last reason, depending upon your age or just your outlook, you want to sell your business. Well, nobody wants to buy a business that needs you physically in the room in order to create value. Makes sense, right? Nobody wants to buy you. They want to buy an operating system. So if you can't get it out of your head, the asset value of your business is diminished. If you've been there for 30 years or 5 years, it's the same problem. So these are some of the reasons that we might like to consider process as valuable, but the real core components I'm going to address next. So if you follow me and I talk about wisdom, you've seen some of my videos, one of the ideas I share is most organizations are designed like a pyramid. We call that a top-down organizational design. And it's pretty commonplace, it's prevalent, it's how all of us were taught how to organize information. You, the leader, sitting at the peak, pushing information downhill like a quarterback, calling plays, everybody executing. This works when you're a team of 5. It does not work when you're a team of 50. This breaks down actually around 15 to 20 people. Most of the teams we work with, you just can't maintain the kind of organizational alignment. The people on the bottom edges, the new hires, they're just too far away from you to feel connected to the values, and they start to screw up. They start to make mistakes. They take a really long time to get onboarded. And so the organizational design, without a layer of management in there, can really erode your team's success once you get beyond 15 or so people. So we introduced the idea of wisdom driven. The idea that if you can get the wisdom out of your head, turn it into a corporate asset, you can build a whole business around it, kind of like a little company campfire where all that wisdom is aggregated and everyone is able to connect to it directly. Not through an intermediary, not because you're in the room, not because they have access to somebody who's supposed to be out in the field working, like an A player that you turn into a trainer. No, this is completely autonomous access to the information that helps them be successful. That's wisdom driven. And one of the coolest benefits of wisdom driven is that you stop having to be the smartest person in the room. Not only have you taken the wisdom out of your head and given it to the team essentially so they all know what you know, but the second benefit of wisdom driven is you crowdsource it. Becomes a potluck. You aggregate and synthesize the best practices of the entire organization. You're as smart as your smartest people, not simply you. And because of that, your organization's more resilient, you've de-risked it, you've made it scalable, increased its asset value. Wisdom-driven works. Now, I'm going to tell you about the process piece of it because for so many small businesses, you've been burned, it doesn't interest you, it's a trap. There's all these reasons you think you don't want to do it, but these are 3 exceptional byproducts for doing the process piece, and I'm going to explain them to you now. Number 1, to decide. Number 2, to train. And number 3, to innovate. So number 1 is to decide. When a process lives in someone's head, it's unconscious competence. And that means it's just in there and no one else can see that process. And because of that, you can't tune it up or improve it. When my dad was still alive and I was a kid, he taught me how to change the oil in my car. He told me a great story while he was doing it, but he flipped the hood and we got in there and I learned about the various components inside of my old truck. I learned what they all do and how they work with each other, and he explained to me the whole picture. And because of that, I got an awareness of how the machine works. Well, if you've never flipped the hood on your machine and you don't know how it works, you can't improve it, tune it up, or fix it if it breaks. So one of the key things about process is that by getting it out of your head, visualizing it on the wall or in documents that can help others see it, you can make decisions. You can say, we are going to add a new thing, a product, a new service, a new location, a new software into our organization, and we're going to be able to decide jointly how this is going to work. Because we can see it and we can visualize it, we can make better decisions, just like flipping the hood on your car. The second reason is you can train people. A lot of times senior executives get around the whiteboard, they make decisions, this is how we want it to work, outstanding, but they still have a problem with that guy over there. He doesn't know exactly what's expected of him, and he's over there monkeying around doing it the old way, and it could be for years, even though they've figured out the boardroom and they've perfected it, it's got to cascade through your organization. Well, what do we call that? We call that training. That's the second reason to do process, so you can lift up the decisions and make them portable. And it doesn't necessarily require a person to be in the room all the time to ensure success. That portable decision is structure inside of a process and inside of training. Then you can scale it to the rest of your people. Make sense? The third reason is if you've flipped the hood, you know what the machine does, and you can see second and third order consequences of choices, you can improve the machine. The third reason to do process is to innovate. I'd said before, top-down versus wisdom-driven. Top-down, it's like, this is how you're going to do it, and you just tell everyone. If you're the smartest person in the room and you like that kind of thing, knock yourself out. But it comes a point when the business gets limited by your limitations. You want to be able to crowdsource best practices from the people out in the field. And at some point, you probably discovered this, they know more than you do, especially in their specific domains. In fact, you probably hired them for their expertise in their domain. Well, how do you gather innovation and then absorb and metabolize it in your company without process? You take those changes, those breakthroughs, those new ways of doing things, and you make processes out of them, swap out the old, and then train everyone. This continuous improvement, or Kaizen in the process kind of nomenclature or the jargon of process, is how you continuously improve. This flywheel effect constantly is reiterating new advances, training everyone to execute on them, and as new developments emerge, you incorporate those, and the business continuously upgrades its capabilities. In the 1980s, this was an advantage. Today, it's about survival. You simply have to build the engine to be able to sustain the amount of change and innovation that's coming for you. Either electively, you're pursuing it, or it's just knocking on your door. And so the three reasons, just to recap: 1, to decide so that you can visualize and see the implications. You can make better choices when you can see processes and those cascading implications. What's going to happen if we do this? How's it going to affect further downstream? If we buy this new job costing software, is it going to get the right information to the guys in the field? Like, those are the kinds of decisions you have to make all the time, all by yourself, and this can really help you. Number 2, you can make sure that people that need to move and behave and adjust can be trained properly. If it's just in your head, you can't do that unless you're there. But if it's externalized, if it's a thing, if it's a process, you can hand it off to someone else. You can train people. And the third reason is It doesn't just go downhill. You can even pull it out of the field. New ideas, new innovations. They have a home and you can affect the machinery, make a decision, and start that flywheel humming again. Fantastic byproducts. Simple, but these are competitive advantages. This is going to outstrip your competition in how agile and aligned your team can be. Magnificent payoffs for transforming your business from it's all in my head to it's a system, it's a process, it's a machine. So just as a quick recap, 3 things you want to be thinking about when it comes to process. If you've been dodging it, hey, you can decide, you can train, and your organization can innovate. And 3 of those combined make for a very compelling competitive advantage. So what should you do next? Easy first step. I want you to think about an area in the business where you are overextending yourself, where you would really like to delegate. And I want you to map that process and then teach it to someone, ideally on camera. Have somebody interview you and ask you to walk through the various stages of the process, and then you have to explain it to them while the camera is running. You'll be surprised what comes out of your mouth. There'll be more videos about the technique on doing that, but to a large extent, you just dive right in. Talk to them like you're talking to a junior. Explain it, train it, tell stories, explain what things can go wrong. You'll do just fine because it's in your head. See you soon. I'm Jon LoDuca. Thanks for watching. Thanks so much and take care. Bye.